57th annual meeting of the Preservation of Historic Winchester. It's been a quiet year, but we got through the year with the efforts of a lot of people. We appreciate those efforts. First off, I do want to thank Sandra Bosley, our Executive Director. Doesn't happen without her, and this year definitely wouldn't have happened. A very difficult year. She has her own comments. She'll make some, but we do want to thank her efforts, her continuing efforts on behalf of the organization in a very, very challenging year. But we didn't catch COVID, which is a plus. We got through the year. We had a range of activities, mostly quiet, but we were busy doing quiet things this year. And the first person I'd like to call, if I could, is Mary Riley, our treasurer, and she'll give a very brief comment on the finances.
Thanks, Bruce. As Bruce said, we had a very unusual year, but we got through it pretty well. Thankfully, at the end of the last fiscal year, ended May of 2020, we were able to apply for and receive a payroll protection loan from the SBA, which we anticipated would be forgiven if we used it for payroll, which of course we did, and in fact it was forgiven. So that really did help us get through the year. And also thankfully we were able to have a successful bow and dough shop at Christmas. Of course we were sorry not to be able to have the holiday house tour, but we got through it, and we're looking forward to much better times ahead. I do have copies of our preliminary financial reports for the year. It doesn't show the balance sheet, but our balance sheet is very strong. We're fortunate to have investments that generate income to help us with our operations expenses. We do have an operating deficit. We fund our operations by memberships and investment income and a few sales, and of course the proceeds of any fundraisers, including the holiday house tour or the shop or the shop. So I will put these reports here for you. I also have our financial statement from the last fiscal year, prepared by Rutherford and Johnson, if you would like to have a copy of the prior year report. Again, these are preliminary, but I welcome you to come and take a copy if you like. Any questions? Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mary. And we do want to thank Mary for many years of service. Our finances are always positive because of her, not only management, but her investment as well. Next, I'd like to call on Sandra to make her comments for the year.
So you probably know that I don't normally write up anything for the annual meeting, but it's been a different enough year that I wanted to actually have a fully prepared statement today. As you might imagine, the pandemic changed almost everything. For me, it started way before that, in the fall of 2019. My mother, who was one of PHW's most ardent volunteers, passed away unexpectedly. No one had any idea of what was happening while she was in the hospital in the late summer of 2019, while I was there folding and stuffing baskets of invitations for Tom Mease's Why All Places Matter. To the end, she was there helping with PHW. In honor of her volunteerism and her lifelong desire to keep learning and improving her skills, I brought the idea for a scholarship in her name to the board. We are currently working toward the halfway point of a $10,000 endowment, so we can continue to give back to the community during the year. I hardly had a week to myself before I was thrown right back into thick of Bow and Dough Shop and Winchester's 250th anniversary holiday house tour, and the completion of the Winchester Limestone Sycamores and Architecture publication at the end of 2019. I wish I could say things got better. Then the pandemic started. Our PHW events were canceled. There was just enough leeway we could hold a required annual off the amended bylaws to allow for electronic meetings. Holiday House Show was canceled, and due to the need to stagger guests in the building, setup for Dough Shop began extremely early, all the way in September, and continued until just before the doors opened. The shop was absolutely nerve-wracking as the pandemic ramped up in conjunction with the post-Thanksgiving surge. Every night I went to bed wondering if this was going to be the morning I became sick, or someone called in to say that they were infected and the whole shop was going to be closed. Those of you who know me know that I plan for worst-case scenarios by default so we can be prepared for anything. Due to my extreme caution and pre-planning, I am most happy to report no one became ill on my watch, and the shop managed to still perform decently well, and for most of our artists, they were pretty much on track with what we expected. In January 2021, we regrouped our social media from the shop to create unique content every day. We've been thinking about this directive since the summer of 2020, when we ramped up to at least one daily social media post per weekday. As you might have seen the first hint of this with our Holiday House Tour voting bracket in fall of 2020, that was a way to both relive the house tours of the past and work on archiving the information that we have in our old tour guides. This new effort will be similar, but something that could be sustainable for the long term. The most logical thing to do was to build on and showcase our existing resources for researchers. Our Flickr account, which contains a digital copy of every photo and slide we found and digitized in the PHW office, needed the most attention. Digitization began around 2013, all the way back as part of our 50th anniversary, and some of the architectural survey photos were scanned about 2011 with the completion of the updated architectural inventory of Winchester. As many of these images are scanned and edited in large groups, and have generic descriptions, they might be lacking pertinent information or otherwise not be user-friendly for someone casually looking for pictures of a building. And obviously this is now an attempt to get those out, so if you search things, put it in Google or on Flickr directly. We'll try to get them out and you can find pictures from the 1970s forward of the buildings. I wish I could say I was proud of the work we accomplished last year. More could have been done, but I'm proud of what I have accomplished to make our research holdings more accessible and personal. I am pleased I was able to go all the way back to the 1970s research materials that have been languishing almost forgotten in our files and put them back into use. It's been delightful to answer, or at least try to find answers, for some of the strange and esoteric history questions that have been posed to me over the last year. And the slower pace of life has allowed for some reevaluation and reflection that is not possible when you have to run from one crisis to the next. In the end, I think you can say we survived and did good work along the way, even if it is not fully appreciated or understood right now. Much like historic preservation as a field, progress is made one step at a time, and it may not always be immediately visible. Often the most important work to a building is not the appearance on the outside from the street, but the thoughtful planning and engineering done to make sure the foundation and walls can bear the weight of the building and make a functional space inside for its occupants. I hope that is what this past year at PHW has been: thoughtful maintenance and careful foundational planning for the future.
And once again, we thank Sandra for all of her efforts in a very challenging year. One of the quiet efforts that we made that became public was the purchase by PHW of the fire-gutted building across on 609 South Cameron Street. When the fire happened, we had given up hope that the building could be preserved. We were able to work with Tommy Beavers and his group to have us purchase the building and sell it to them. And we were able to purchase the building by using a right of first refusal as it was a revolving fund house. We were happy to announce that the property is being preserved, the facade is being preserved, which is we didn't expect would happen. So we're very excited about that project and the Tommy which we produced. Along the same lines, we hope to work with the city on the Gavis property, which is up for possible blight right now, and we'll be working with the city on that. And we hope, we don't know what will happen with that, we hope we can work with the city to get that property renovated as well. What we do, sometimes public and sometimes quiet, very often Sandra works on a regular basis with people who are working with renovating properties. We have a number of awards to give today, and she worked with several of those people, giving guidance, help, and assistance as far as the renovation of the properties. And so we're here, we're working quietly, and we appreciate all the support we get. We're always looking for good people, a few good people, many good people to work on our projects, and we look forward to a very exciting year. We do want to note, when we have our elections of officers this year, we have the board of directors slate to be elected this year. I'll announce them. First of all, Patrick Rogers will be our new president. Jim Stewart will continue vice president for issues and advocacy. Callie Fitzwater, Ann Scully, and Dan Whitaker are the members of the board up for re-election. Do I have a motion that they move that they be elected for their 2-year terms? We have a move. Motion, is there a second? And a second from Richard. Any further nominations? All in favor of the nomination, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We have a new slate. Congratulations, Patrick. What we'd like to do now is to continue, if it's still going to continue to rain, we'll go right into our award of merit. These are for projects that are completed in the last year. We still have some that are not completed, and they'll be given awards in the future. And I'll call your name if you come up, and I'll ask you if you're here to make a few comments, a few words about your project.
In no particular order, just how I'm picking them up off the table.
Okay. We have an award, 501, 507 North Cannon Street. Foursquare Architect.
And all of these awards were hand painted by Sandra. So you're also getting a little piece of local art.
Steve. How do you pronounce your name? Go ahead. Make a comment.
Hi, my name's Steve Onfange. I did the 501, 507 North Cameron Street. It was an old gas station there for a long time, built in the early 1900s. And it was a very interesting project, especially with all the structural engineering involved. We found an old Carnegie steel beam that was really neat, and we preserved that. We tried to preserve as much of the history of that building as we could while bringing it vertical. I don't think anyone can hear me in the rain, but okay. Right. Yeah, it was a very fun project. Worked with Kyle Hopkins and Skyline Construction, as well as the city for several months before the beginning of the project. So it was a good experience for me. It was my first. Hopefully it won't be my last. That's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Karen Garby, 417 Fairmont Avenue. Not only did they get an award, hand-painted award, but each get a copy of the Winchester limestone book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Karen Darby, and I'm trying to bring back 417 Fairmont Avenue house. It was built about the late 1800s, and we've uncovered a lot of very unique historical things redoing the house that we've tried to incorporate in it, and I would invite any of you to come see it whenever it's finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Betty Laws, 416 South Cannon Street.
My name is Betty Laws. I live at 416 South Cameron Street. I'm trying to renovate my house. I got the roof done and the siding done. So I'll eventually do a bathroom downstairs.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you very much. The Hinkle House at 316 West Boscawen, Jim Ton LLC, Richie Piper.
Hello, Richie Pfeiffer. It's an honor, again, to be here with PHW. My brother Brandon and I purchased the house, and a lot more work's gone on inside than out, but we did rebuild the side porch. We owe it a paint job, but it's a beautiful house, inside and out. Great floors, beautiful heart pine floors inside, plaster walls, all the original casing. So, great house, and we appreciate everything PHW does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richie. Richie has long been involved with PHW. We appreciate all of his efforts.
Also, as bartender.
As a bartender, too. That's right. Also on West Boscawen Street, 312 West Boscawen, Beverly Bird. You know, Beverly was going to be here today. We appreciate her efforts on doing this property. West Boscawen has improved a lot in the last year. It's really, the Hinkle House is a big part of it, thanks to Richie, but certainly this is another. So it's a gateway to the city from the west, and we appreciate those efforts. Stephen Williams, 212 North Kent Street. Stephen here today. I saw him. Okay. This is a multiple award winner here. We want to recognize again the Clouser Foundation for their continuing work on the Clouser House in Frederick County. And I know we have a representative present, Larry. They've had a big year. They've had a very exciting year. Larry will tell you about it.
Thank you. I'm Larry Allen Clouser Webb. I'm president of the Clouser Foundation. Ever since we more or less took possession of the Clouser house, there's been three questions basically asked. How old was the house? How did Henry Clouser get from Pennsylvania here to Frederick County? And the last one was, is there anybody really buried in that cemetery? Well, last fall, my sister and I's support, we got a company out of Leesburg. We did a ground penetration radar survey of the cemetery. It was kind of scary at first because we had to wait almost a year to get the people in to do the survey. And once they were here, I was really scared. I was actually there when the survey took place, and I was really scared. The last thing we do was survey this cemetery, and we didn't find anything. But it really gets your heart beating. And then when they turn around and say, when you hear Matt, who is the major surveyor there, say, we got one, everything was totally different. Eventually, after the survey was over with, we found 16 graves with 17 bodies. So, it was worth it. Since then, the Clouser Foundation, in the last couple of weeks, we've gone through and we've marked each one of the graves in the cemetery. So, we also have a notarized map proving the location of all the graves there in the cemetery. So, Merle Moore would have been proud. Thank you.
Now, this is a building in Frederick County that really was supposed to have been taken down, and thanks to the efforts of the Clouser Foundation and their supporters, it continues to be improved. Next award is to Nancy Murphy. Nancy's can't be here today, but she is, again, a special person. She's been involved with preservation and has had multiple projects in downtown Winchester. We thank her for her continuing efforts. 126 West Leicester Street. It's a project that took her some time, and it's finally finished. The Philip Williams Building at 25 West Boscawen Street. Scott Bissett. Is Scott here? He's here, yes. Scott, tell us about your building.
Thank you very much. Wow. Did not expect this, but thank you. We acquired the building at 25 West Piccadilly back last September and took possession in December 2019 and started a 15-month project to restore the building fully, which we are just wrapping up now. Really has been a family affair. I've got my two kids, Carter and Ellie, and my wife Barbara back there, and they have all been in pulling nails and removing carpeting, and our goal with the building was really to take it away from all the modifications and additions that have been put in through the years and bring it back to the way it was in 1838. And I think we've successfully accomplished that, and I have to say I'm relieved to be nearing the end of that project. But thank you very much. It's been a great learning experience, and appreciate everybody's thoughts on our work.
Thank you. One of our awards to an award winner who could not be here today, to David Mitchell for his work at 123 East Court Street. That's the property next to the John Mann Church. They've had the porch work going on for years. With some efforts and help from Sandra, he was able to get that done. He put a lot of original work, and he's especially proud. He told us that so much of the original porch has been preserved. He worked hard to preserve the porch, the original wood, and we thank him for his efforts. We have a Patrons Award for one of our longtime supporters, Margaretta Barton Colt. She's here today. We appreciate her being here. She's been a supporter of PHW since the Kurtz Building days and continues to support us in special ways as well. Margaretta, thank you so much. You can talk from there if you want to. You can come up here.
Well, I don't want to do that step.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I appreciate this very much for your recognizing my love of Winchester and its beautiful architecture. It's a very special place, and I fell for it when I first came here, which was 4 years ago that I want to tell you. And I applaud your efforts to preserve it. It's just unique to
We
me.
thank you for your efforts as well.
Thank you.
And finally, we have the Ben Belchick Award to Mike Robinson, who continues to produce wonderful stories about Winchester, its people, its places, and its history, and we certainly thank him for his continuing efforts. Mike? How many volumes do you have now? Five.
Working on 6. Well, you know, about 2 years ago, I was on social media, on Facebook, and I said, you know, there's got to be more to this than seeing people what they're eating for dinner, their pets, and their kids, and politics. So I started writing stories on a Facebook page. Here we are, 11,000 followers now. But I came to PHW, and Sandra and I connected about 1.5 years ago, and I had no idea where to take it beyond Facebook. And she said, come in, let's talk. So I came in and talked to Bruce and Mary and the group, and they were so kind just to kind of hash out some ideas of what we could do into putting into some type of publication. COVID was weird. I went off, and Sandra was so great because I didn't know what I was doing. But she helped me along, and here we are, five books later. But the biggest thing that I took from this was people still love history. Young people still love history. Their attention spans might be a little shorter these days. That's why my stories are about 2 minutes long. I got to keep their attention. But it just made me think that there's something here, and I'm going to keep going. You know, 450 stories later, there's still more, and I keep digging up more. When I think this town is done, it's never done. This town is so special, and I'm so proud, and I'm so appreciative to everything you guys do. It's a joint effort, and I wouldn't be here without you guys, and I appreciate it. And all of you, thank you.
As promised, the rain has stopped, and we thank you for staying here during the rain. We have a few drinks up here. We'd like you to stay for a while now that it's stopped raining. And continue to know the PHW is here. It continues to work. As Mike said, we do things quietly. We try to get things done. We look forward to a very successful future next year. Thank you very much for coming. And again, any continuing membership